At 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday, detectives with the Fresno County Sheriff's Office arrested 58-year-old Alan DuPras outside his home located in the 2800 block of 18th Street in Kingsburg. DuPras has been booked into the Fresno County Jail on 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of arson, a count of possession of assault weapons, and 1 count of vandalism. His total bail is $3.142 million. Around 3:30 p.m. on December 11, 2017, Fresno County Sheriff's dispatchers received a phone call requesting deputies check the welfare of 55-year-old Jennifer DuPras, who lived at a home in the 6200 block of North Colonial in Fresno. The caller was concerned because Jennifer had missed an appointment earlier in the day. Deputies responded and found the home to be secure with no signs of trouble. Deputies spoke to a neighbor who told them they had a key to the house and would let them inside to check to see if everything was okay. The deputies entered the home and found 2 women who had been shot, and both were deceased. They were later identified as Jennifer DuPras and her mother, 88-year-old Cynthia Houk. Homicide detectives immediately began to contact family members of the women, including Alan DuPras. On December 12th, detectives met with Alan in person, and he explained he was going through the divorce process with Jennifer. He said he knew Jennifer had a boyfriend, did not know the man, but was curious to find out. There was no probable cause to arrest Alan at that time. However, detectives chose to author a search warrant for Alan's home later that same day, and they seized multiple guns in the house. A short time later, detectives learned that investigators with the Fresno Fire Department were looking at Alan DuPras as a potential suspect in 2 separate arson cases. The first, on November 22, 2017, involved Cynthia Houk's car being intentionally set on fire while parked in front of her home on the North Colonial address. The second, on December 4, 2017, involved the Alliance Françoise de Fresno. Jennifer was the president of this French club at the time. The building, located at the corner of 1st and Gettysburg in Fresno, was intentionally set on fire. After reviewing evidence, investigators learned Alan DuPras had been to the French club a month prior and had vandalized it. Fresno fire investigators played an instrumental role in helping us during this case. Thank you very much. On December 28th, the sheriff's detectives returned to Alan's Kingsburg home with a new search warrant in order to look for evidence tied to the arson cases. On December 29th, detectives executed a search warrant at the home of Alan's parents, located in Clovis. Inside, they recovered multiple guns belonging to Alan. Detectives focused on collecting and reviewing surveillance video captured in the surrounding areas of the murders and the fires. Homeowners and businesses answered our requests by supplying us with recordings, thus helping with the investigation. Detectives found that a white crew cab Chevrolet Colorado pickup truck appeared in every video near the crime scenes. Alan DuPras owned the same type of pickup truck, which was later recovered and processed for evidence. Criminal analysts with the sheriff's office ran ballistic tests on all of the guns seized, but none matched those used against Jennifer and Cynthia. However, technology and digital data obtained even as recently as this month proved to be enough evidence to show Alan DuPras was responsible for both murders and both fires. Of course, as always, we are asking anyone out there that has additional information on this case to contact Sheriff's Detectives Juan Galindo at 559-600-8215, and you may also contact Crime Stoppers at 559-498-7867. Again, you will remain anonymous and may be eligible for a cash reward. Before we take questions, I'd like to introduce DA Lisa Smitkamp for comments.
Thank you, Sheriff. Just briefly, I'd like to congratulate the Fresno County Sheriff's Department on what has proven to be a long and very difficult investigation that resulted in the arrest today of Mr. DuPras. It is a sad day for Fresno. It is a sad day for the DuPras family, and I would like to take the opportunity to extend my condolences to the family for the loss of these two wonderful women who impacted the community and their families in such a positive manner. We will be reviewing the case. I would like to congratulate the detectives and the sergeant. These gentlemen behind me have worked tirelessly since this incident occurred to bring justice to these victims. And I am so grateful to the sheriff for allowing us to participate and to support them a little bit here and there along the way. I think it's another great example of how we are working collaboratively in the county of Fresno with all agencies, fire, sheriff, DA, and all the additional agencies that assisted in the investigation of these cases. It's so important that we do that, especially when it comes to bringing justice for a mother and a grandmother who were so very important to their families. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the chief of our homicide unit, Robert Romanasi, who has also been involved in this. He's worked a lot of hours to support and assist the detectives with some of the work that they're doing, and we really appreciate his efforts. So we are going to get the paperwork in. We will be reviewing the case. This is a case involving multiple victims, so it is a special circumstances case, and we will be doing all the proper and appropriate evaluations to determine what the potential sentence could be in this case. As most of you know, it is eligible for the death penalty, and if not, then under special circumstances, also eligible for life without the possibility of parole, and we will be making those determinations once all of the reports are completed and the evaluations are complete.
All right. Well, you're available for questions if there are any. I would like to also say that detectives have been in touch with the daughter of Jennifer DuPras this morning after the arrest was made, so we've been in contact with her. And I also want to say something about comments or concerns about the length of time that it takes to investigate, especially a complex homicide case. And the way I talk about this is in this world of television, forensic, police shows, that we're really living what I call a CSI world, and the expectation from the public may be different than what reality is. And reality is that it takes time to gather all of the evidence that we need. It takes time, especially when it comes to technology and the digital evidence that we need, and when we need cooperation from companies and organizations and businesses. It takes some time to do it. And the really short 8 months that it's taken to wrap this case up will make sure that the DA's office is able, in the best way possible, to present a case for prosecution. And so it's worth the wait to be able to make sure that we do it right. We'd much rather get it right rather than get it fast. So with that, I will open it up to any questions that any of you have.
Did you guys recover the murder weapon?
I believe none of the weapons that we have matched any of the ballistics that we have, so no, we have not.
Sheriff, you talk about the technology and the digital data that was the key. Can you elaborate on what that was specifically, like a computer, cell phone, log, or what was that?
We are not going to comment on what that technology is right now. This is something, of course, that's going to come out during trial, but we're not ready to reveal that just as of yet.
Sheriff, can you talk to us about the arrest that occurred this morning? Did he know it was coming, and was he cooperative this morning?
He was cooperative. He did make comments that he expected contact from the sheriff's office, and he was contacted at his home in Kingsburg, and there was no resistance. He cooperated.
Did the sheriff's office consider this kind of like a high-risk arrest? I mean, you talked about seizing guns from his parents' home in Clovis. Did you suspect that he may be armed? And it might turn, for the worst.
We actually took him into custody, not out of his home. It was outside of his home. And the detectives did this. We didn't consider this a high-risk arrest. We didn't have, for instance, a SWAT team out there or anything. So they had a plan on how they were going to make the arrest, and they did so before he got into his house. They made the arrest outside of his home.
Sheriff, we know the pickup was seized. How big of a role did that play?
I can't stress enough when we put out the call for public's help, either through press conferences or through Crime Stoppers, how important those tips are to us, because the public did step up and provide very valuable video evidence. And in this day and time, it's getting more and more common for people to have cameras around their homes and their doorbells in different places that really help us solve crimes. And that the public stepped up, and when we asked for it, they provided it. And in every video that we saw near the area where these crimes were committed, that vehicle was seen on some of the video. Now, some of it is more clear than other video. However, it helped us really pull this case together.
Was critical evidence found in that pickup?
I don't believe we found critical evidence inside the pickup.
Can we talk a little bit more about the arrest this morning? You said that, he was taken into custody before he entered his home. So were detectives waiting for him? Did you have any kind of intelligence home at the time? How did you know to be at the right place at the right time?
We knew that we were going to make an arrest, and so there was some surveillance involved. That when he left his home, we knew we wanted to make the arrest before he got into his house, and that's exactly what happened. We made the arrest before he went into his home after returning for being gone for a short amount of time.
It was at 8:30 in the morning. Do you know where he was so early in the morning? Was he at the gym, walking his dog? What? I don't know. Where was he at 8:30 in the morning?
Yeah, I think the detectives know where. I don't know where he had been, but again, surveillance played a part in this.
Sheriff, what has Mr. DuPras been up to the last 8 months since he said this morning that he suspected contact from you guys? What has he been up to, and was he ever considered a flight risk?
I don't know that he was ever considered a flight risk. However, we did keep an eye on his whereabouts. I mean, he wasn't under constant surveillance. I can't and I won't say that. However, we knew where he was. So we knew that he still lived in Kingsburg, and he made himself available when we wanted to question him. So there wasn't any way to believe that he was going to be a flight risk. However, what he did was extremely violent. It was extremely personal. And as the DA's office moves forward, I mean, they're going to take that into consideration now that he has been taken into arrest when it comes to decisions that have to be made regarding bail.
Can you say definitively that you know if there was a motive for this murder? Was it premeditated? What fueled these murders?
There is evidence to show that it was premeditated. As far as the reason, we know, what we do know is that he was going through a divorce. We do know that he suspected there was a relationship between Jennifer and another man, and those are the possibilities that we're looking at as far as motive.
Did GPS help you at all?
It could have been one of the technologies that we used, so that's exactly what that was. I'm not ready to say, but that's certainly a consideration for us.
Can you comment on what it was that made you think that he was the suspect?
I will tell you that the technology that we received just this month was what we really needed to confirm that he was in fact the suspect.
Has he been questioned yet again, and has any of his answers changed from the first times he's been questioned?
He was brought, after his arrest, he was brought in for questioning. However, he invoked his attorney privilege.
Like you
was one of the potential suspects of the fires, there was any specific reason for that? Jennifer kind of knew that he was the one behind that?
Comments that we have is that he was aware he was looked at as a suspect in the homicide case. I don't know about his awareness of being a suspect in the arson cases prior to today.
Sheriff, can we talk a little bit about how detectives initially learned about the Fresno fire investigations, like word of mouth, or how they connected those two pieces?
One of the things that's important to remember is that Jennifer was president of the French club where the one of the arsons had occurred, as well as the vandalism. And just as a normal way of investigation, of course, they would contact Fresno Fire, who was conducting that investigation, which led them also to the prior fire at the home on Colonial. So it just happened as a course of as the investigation went on.
How was the fire started?
We know that there was an accelerant used, and as with the investigation the fire department did.
And, do we know, like, I mean, there's obviously no injuries or anything in the fire, right? In either of the fires?
You know, let's talk about, if we want to talk about the fire, I should probably let the fire department answer those, if you would like.
So to answer your question about the fire, I guess to go back, both of the fires, the vehicle fire as well as the structure fire on First Street, both had ignitable liquids incorporated in the cause of the fire. There were no injuries in the vehicle fire, obviously, nor were there injuries in the fire of the commercial property.
Was it the same type of accelerant for both fires? Is that something you guys are able to test?
Yeah, we were able to take samples from both the locations. We have lucky enough to have a canine that detects ignitable liquids, and she was able to hit on both of the locations. So samples were taken and sent into the Department of Justice for analysis, and both of them came back positive for ignitable liquids. We don't have the ability in our samples through the testing that they do to differentiate between different types of gasoline, leaded versus unleaded, or high octane or low octane. It just comes back as without getting too technical, it just comes back as a fuel that's conducive with the same properties of gasoline.
In the investigation, how you guys get to Alan DuPras at the time? How do you guys realize that maybe he was the one behind the arson?
Well, we weren't able to identify a suspect right away. We did an investigation first on the commercial property on First Street. We were able to identify a vehicle that was later identified as being involved in a homicide. So we were able to contact the Sheriff's Department's homicide unit and start to work with them collaboratively on identifying the vehicle and the possible suspect. From that point on, we came to learn of the vehicle fire that happened previously, and we were able to go back, working in conjunction with the ATF, to go back and determine that fire was also arson. And with that, able to put the two and two together as far as identifying a suspect.
So, you guys were you guys able to identify a suspect vehicle that matched the white pickup description?
Yes, the fire that happened on First Street at the commercial property, we were able to identify a vehicle. And during that investigation, we also learned of the vandalism of the commercial property, and were able to identify the same vehicle being involved. Then once we started working with the detectives here, we were able to identify the vehicle owner, and therefore kind of put the two cases together, or the three cases, I guess.
It was the white pickup truck that was identified.
Yes, there were certain things in the vehicle, and I'll leave that to the detectives to decide what they want to release on that, but we were able to confirm that the vehicle that was used in the homicide also was the same used in the commercial fire as well as the vandalism.
Did in the arson fires, did those affected name maybe had been involved in those fires or were scared of?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
Like the member of the French club, since she had been head of it at that time, did they say, well, maybe we're kind of scared of Alan DuPras?
Man, I'm not sure. I'd have to refer to them. I know that one of our investigators on the scene, the lead investigator in this case is Lee Wilding. The day after the commercial fire, he actually interviewed Miss DuPras as far as being involved with the fire. I guess she was alerted to it the following day, and she arrived to see what kind of damage was done to the building, and he had a short interview with her there.
Is there any new surveillance video that can be released at any time? Of the car at the fire, the truck at the fire?
I think it's already been released, the video we, okay.
So, when we're talking about these arson fires, and, there was clues that they were intentionally set. I don't know if we can talk a little bit about, like, motives behind those, or whether, you turn that over to law enforcement at that time, or once you, determine that it is arson, it is intentionally set.
Right. We're all firefighters, but we're also sworn officers as well. So we work very hard to, keep as much as we can. We do work very well, and I think this is a prime example of working very well with other agencies involved. In addition to the Sheriff's Department, we worked with the Department of Justice, the ATF, and even with Fresno PD for certain resources on the side as far as what we're doing with research. We had FBI agents involved with the surveillance video that we had, trying to improve the quality of it to make it more, clear and identifiable. So being a small unit, we're kind of dependent upon other agencies and having a great working relationship with them.
Was Fresno Fire able to determine the motive, or is that something that...
Well, motive, I think, came in later as we were able to connect the two incidents, the commercial fire as well as the homicide. You have kind of a key figure in that investigation. Once we were able to go back and identify the vehicle, that gave us a suspect. Motive definitely plays a part, but it's not our primary cause for our investigation. Is to determine whether or not there was a crime and then identify a suspect and follow through. Motive is nice, but it's not what we hinge our investigation on.
Sure, I have a couple more questions for you, actually.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
So we know that when detectives visited the home again on Colonial, that there is evidence that it was broken into. Do we suspect that Alan DuPras was the person who broke into the home?
We suspect that he was.
Do we have any idea what that person was looking for in Jennifer's room?
We do believe we know what he was looking for. However, again, that's the detail we're not going to release. All right, again, I want to commend not only the detectives that worked so hard on this particular case, but the district attorney's office, because it was a hand-in-hand investigation. And we believe that we've put together the best case possible in this particular crime and crimes to make sure that we hold the person accountable. I want to thank Fresno Fire because we were able to wrap up their case as well with their cooperation and their expertise. And my hope is that it gives a sense of relief to community members also who have been very concerned, live in that area, and have wondered where this investigation was going, and we were able to pass on that information today. So thank you all very much.